morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are. Again, thank you for joining us. You've made a great decision to join the Home Court Design Podcast today. Got a lot to get into in the NBA. It's been a busy past couple of weeks, as I'm sure you all are aware. So we're going to be getting into the Kyrie to Boston just scenario that's going on right now. And, you know, so Kyrie was traded to Boston, and now it seems like the Cavs want more to get the deal done. And we're going to also jump into should the NBA change the playoff format? Currently has the East and the West, the top 8 teams in each conference. Should they change it to just the top 16 teams in the NBA to compete in the playoffs? And we'll dive into that. And then finally, we're going to go through the Lakers and their starting 5 and key reserves and what each of those players bring to the Lakers and just some hopefully that these players bring for us Lakers fans. So before we get into that, again, I'm joined by another our special guest analyst, Christopher Smith. Chris, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
How you doing? How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Getting ready to jump into some of these topics. So really excited. Really exciting stuff. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and check in. So I'm sure we're all aware of Kyrie Irving being traded. We all thought to Boston, and the package included Kyrie to Boston, and what the Cleveland Cavaliers got back in the trade was Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic who was a first round draft pick by the Celtics, and as well as that 2018 Brooklyn Nets pick. So it's the Brooklyn Nets pick for this next upcoming draft. So that was the trade that initially went through about a week or so ago, and it seems like now, after the Celtics had done their due diligence, that there's an issue going on with Isaiah Thomas, and his health is in question. It wasn't quite what they were expecting. He may miss significant time in this next season. So now it seems like the Cavaliers are going to want more from the Celtics for this trade. So Chris, I guess let's go ahead and start here. So the trade, we'll get into what the Cavaliers want here in a second, but to sweeten the deal. But just the trade as it stands right now, who won the trade?
I'm gonna have to say short term. I'm gonna say Boston won this trade short term only, because long term I fully believe Cleveland is gonna benefit from this trade with the first round pick next year. Mm-hmm. But short term, because Kyrie is such a diverse point guard, he's really good at being a playmaker for the team, which is something that they're going to need now because they traded away Isaiah Thomas. Mm-hmm. And I feel that he'll be more of a defensive asset than Isaiah was, because he's just got a little bit more hype than Isaiah does. Even though he's not the best one-on-one defender, he is going to be better than having Thomas on the floor.
And they lost Jay Crowder, so they lose a lot of defense. Boston they got rid of Avery Bradley in a trade. I believe they got back Marcus Morris from the Pistons. So they do lose a lot of defense there. They do. So, and Kyrie isn't always known as a great defender, as we've seen. He kind of picks his moments.
Yeah, but I think that Boston, the culture there and the coaching, I think they're going to try to whip him into shape and make him the defender he needs to be, because he can be a good defender when he wants to be. But overall, he just does not choose to defend.
Right. So here's my take on the whole trade. I posted on the Home Court Design Facebook page. Shout out to Home Court Design Facebook page. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I commented on the trade, and really this is how trades should be, right? I mean, trades. Anytime you're dealing with a superstar, usually the whole adage is that the team who gets the best player wins the trade. And in this case, I don't necessarily think that's true. And in my opinion, I honestly think the Cavaliers, by a slight margin, won this trade. And here's the reason: is because assuming Isaiah Thomas is healthy, and that's obviously a question. Isaiah Thomas was an MVP candidate last year, and obviously he's undersized, but he was almost a 30-point. He was pretty damn close to a 30-point per game scorer, which should more than supplement for what Kyrie Irving was doing. And then one of the biggest problems the Cavaliers had last season was defense. Their defense was atrocious, especially guarding guys like Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, those types of players. They need elite defenders, and Jay Crowder is an elite 3-and-D guy for them, who he may even come off the bench this season, presuming the trade goes through. But I think what really pushes this trade over the edge is that 2018 Brooklyn Nets Nets pick. That is projected, assuming the Brooklyn Nets stink this season, which I love D'Angelo Russell, but I don't think he gets them any closer to where they want to be outside of the last 3 teams in the league. That 2018 Brooklyn Nets pick is going to be probably at least a 1 to top 3 pick in a very deep draft. I believe Marvin Bagley III is one of the players who looks pretty damn legit. So, I have to say, I honestly think that Cleveland came away looking great in this deal, but it was pretty even. I mean, Boston gets a great player.
I think they definitely got more than what they gave away. They got more players, and which is something they need. They need a lot more depth to be able to go against the likes of Golden State.
And Boston's looking pretty thin right now, too.
Yeah,
honestly,
they really gave up a lot of depth.
With Bradley and Crowder gone, I mean, I don't know who's going to be their wing stopper. Jaylen Brown, I mean, it doesn't. He doesn't seem like.
I think they just gave up too much this offseason to really be a strong contender.
Yeah,
going forward.
I agree. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about the trade as it starts. Yeah. But so now we're hearing that Boston is being requested by the Cavaliers to sweeten the deal, because it sounds like that Isaiah Thomas, per Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, he had a physical. The Cleveland Cavaliers had their medical staff look at him, and it sounds like he may not be ready for the start of the season, and it may be a significant time that Isaiah Thomas misses. I don't know if that is a long-term concern. I don't believe so. In fact, Isaiah Thomas came out recently and said he'll be back to the same player. He is. But so Cleveland is asking for more assets. So do you think, Chris, that Boston should budge?
I personally, I think that what they're giving up, they definitely should not give up anymore. At the most, another late second round pick. I don't think that they really should give up. They're giving up too much as it is for Kyrie. I don't think they should give up anything more for it.
Right, I agree. I think initial reports were that the Cavaliers were after one of their top young players, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. Either one of those guys or another first round pick. Since then, I've heard that they would settle for a second round consideration. So I think if anything happens to make this deal go through, I think Boston may part with the second round pick, which I think they shouldn't give up. Personally, I don't think they should give up anything.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that the Cavaliers didn't know about Isaiah Thomas and his health situation before they okayed the deal. So if anything, second round pick just to push it through. But I don't think there's any going back here.
Yeah.
I don't think Isaiah Thomas can go back to the Celtics. And in fact, I personally think Boston has more to lose, because I think everybody knows Kyrie wants to get traded.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas, that kind of blindsided him. I don't think he expected to get traded.
Yeah.
And going back to a team that pretty much, it's like a Lamar Odom situation from the Lakers, years prior. So I think they should give up second round pick, and that's it. Just get the deal done. So, anyways, so we'll go ahead and that's our take on the Kyrie to Boston trade saga. Should be hopefully wrapping up here in the next couple of days. It sounds like that there's a deadline on I believe today, Wednesday, is when we're filming the podcast. Is the deadline for the deal to go through. So hopefully we'll hear more about that in the next couple hours. So the next topic we want to jump into is. I just want to go ahead and start off by saying this. The NBA, it's a product, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA is selling us a product by trying to give us the most competitive basketball that they can provide. And the NBA is a very progressive league. They're constantly updating themselves. They're constantly trying to make it so that the league is more enjoyable to us, the fans. Which I agree with to a point. Obviously, you don't want to go too far down that road. But just like any other company, like an Apple or a Microsoft, you want to give your consumer the best product available. And currently, the way the NBA is set up for the playoffs, I don't believe gives the NBA consumer the best product available.
Yeah.
So the way it's set up is that you have the Eastern Conference and Western Conference, and the top 8 teams from each conference will compete in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the reason that's a faulty way to set up the playoffs is because the Western Conference, at least historically the past couple of years, has been much more competitive than the Eastern Conference.
Definitely.
So really the question becomes is should the NBA revise their playoff format? So Chris, I'll ask you, should they do it?
I personally think so. I think that the West, especially this year, has become way too stacked for the East. I mean, there's only one or two good teams on the Eastern Conference, and I think that it's gonna. You already know for a fact Cleveland is going to be coming out of the Eastern Conference, but I don't think that it leaves much competitiveness in the East. The West is going to be incredibly competitive this year, but the Eastern Conference, it's a shoo-in who's coming out. So I think that revising this to either change some of the teams, move some Western teams to the East and some East to the West, or do a top 16 teams is the way to go for this.
So I guess let me ask you this. I mean, for the casual fan, obviously that makes sense. But what about those small market teams that are in like the Milwaukee area or the Indiana area who, by and large, most players don't want to go to play for those teams. They have to build through the draft. So they're not going to be as good as the bigger market teams. I mean, would this kind of change really, would that negatively affect those markets?
I think long term, it definitely would probably affect those markets. I mean, not either way, they're not going to get what they need to get.
Right.
Like the small markets are going to struggle no matter what. They aren't going to have the money to sign star players. No matter what, they're going to have to build through the draft.
Right. I agree with that. Honestly, as a consumer standpoint, especially because the Lakers have been so terrible lately, I've had to develop because I'm just a basketball fan in general. So I like to watch good basketball. So as a consumer, I think this makes the most sense. And yes, I mean, sure, there are going to be small markets that are going to be affected. But, as those teams built through the draft, we've seen it with Oklahoma City. That's a small market. San Antonio, small market. But they have star players that play there because they built through the draft and they have good organizations. I think if you've got a good organization in place, you don't really have to worry about that as much. Scheduling becomes an issue, I guess, as far as just if you have too many teams playing in the West, and you have an Eastern Conference team like the Cavaliers. Just travel issues could arise. So that may be part of it. But from a consumer standpoint, I think this is a no-brainer for the NBA to do this. I know it's been brought up plenty of times, but I'm not sure if they will. But it definitely I think should get some consideration. So yeah, that's our take on is the NBA fan getting the best product possible? We both say no. I think the NBA should revise the playoff format, and it should be the top 16 teams.
Definitely.
Top 16 teams in the NBA.
At the least that.
So our next topic and our final topic is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers. We're going to go ahead and dive into some of our hometown Lakers. And what we really want to do is we want to go through the Lakers roster, specifically the starting lineup and key reserves, because the Lakers have definitely overhauled their roster. They have a lot of new faces on this team that were not on the team last year. And we want to go through and see what does each of these players bring to the team and how they're going to make the team better. And really the different skill sets of each and what can we expect from these players going into this season. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. So our starting point guard. Does anybody know who the starting point guard is? I don't know.
I
don't know if anybody doesn't know.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. I think it's LeVar Ball, right? LeVar Ball is the starting point guard. He probably thinks he is, LeVar Ball. But Lonzo Ball, our second overall pick from this past draft, is going to be our point guard. Stands at 6'6", so he's a pretty tall point guard.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably in that array of like the Magic Johnsons or the LeBron James, Jason Kidd, just tall point guards.
Yeah.
Weighs about 190, so he's kind of a thin 6'6", but he'll probably put the weight on as he goes through. So what are the different skill sets of Lonzo Ball, Chris?
I mean he's definitely a well-rounded player. He's got a solid jump shot, even though he has a weird form.
That's an ugly ass jump shot. I ain't gonna lie. That's not pretty, Lonzo. You gotta. You know what? If it works for you though, if it's going in, that's all that matters. So keep it going.
I think he's definitely got a high basketball IQ. He's able to see the floor, survey the floor, and he makes the players around him better. That summer league team that he led for the games he was playing, he was averaging triple doubles.
Yes.
He was getting triple doubles back-to-back games for the summer league. I think he's definitely going to add a lot to this team.
In summer league, obviously we don't want to put a lot of stock into summer league, but it's really all we have to go off of. So we're gonna overreact to summer league. That's all we got to go on. But hey, Lonzo Ball got plenty of triple doubles, which I don't believe has been done in summer league as much. So if it was so easy, why does anybody do it?
A triple double in general is difficult to get.
Right.
So getting more than one in summer league, I think that's definitely something to talk about.
Yeah, I think Lonzo Ball is going to be great, honestly. Like, I mean, obviously everybody talks about his passing. I think his shooting's underrated, personally. I think in summer league people saw, he struggled with the NBA range a little bit. But, in college he hit 41% of his three-pointers. Yeah. I think Lonzo's going to be a great shooter. He'll probably have the jump shot similar to a, what's the name of that? What's the name of that player? He played for Oklahoma City, the Rockets, San Antonio. Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin.
He has a shot similar to a Kevin Martin, but Kevin Martin was a scoring machine. I think Lonzo may not be the scoring machine, but he's going to get other guys involved, make them better. And I think when he needs to step up, Lonzo will step up. And I honestly think in his leadership, I think it already shows. Even, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter the other day, but Lonzo was handling the Twitter trolls against Brandon Ingram.
Oh, yeah.
And John Collins, who's another rookie. NBA 2K18 just came out and they've been posting player ratings, and there was a player rating for John Collins posted, and the picture showed John Collins dunking on Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball came out on Twitter and tweeted at 2K the sports and said, hey, you need to change that picture or you're going to lose a customer. And you know what? They released a picture of Brandon Ingram dunking on John Collins. Yeah. So that already to me shows that he's sticking up for his teammates, which I love to see.
Definitely.
So, starting at shooting guard is going to most likely be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP.
Yeah.
Stands at about 6'5", around the same height as Lonzo, 205. He's been a pro for about 4 years. We signed him from the Pistons. So, Chris, how do you like KCP?
I personally don't know too much. From what I've seen, he's mainly a 3-and-D guy, and he's been being praised for his defense, really. From what I've been hearing, his defense is going to be the main asset to the team.
Right.
He's going to have to guard some of the better players, so he'll probably go on, say, the Steph Currys or the
And we need that.
Yeah, and we need that.
We need defense. Our defense was atrocious last year. Let's all be honest. It's terrible, and getting a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and he's on a 1-year deal. It's favorable to the team, so I think that'll be great for us to get a 3-and-D guy because he can shoot and he can defend, which is what we need. So our small forward is Brandon Ingram. We all know Brandon Ingram is our second overall pick in the 2 drafts ago. He definitely has all the tools. I mean, he's a tall guy. I mean, how tall is Brandon Ingram? He's 6'9", 190, so he's still a pretty thin guy. But Kevin Durant was thin. I mean, if he really what I look for Brandon Ingram is to really develop his shot and to be more of an attacker.
Yeah.
I think Rob Pelinka has come out and said they're going to really feature Brandon Ingram in this season. So I really think Brandon Ingram's going to take a huge step forward. I'm not going to say he's going to be an all-star this year, but I'm going to say he's going to probably be in that I'd like to see him score more. I want to see him score more and be the guy we go to in clutch situations. So if I can see that from Brandon Ingram and see him convert more often than not, make clutch plays and just get his scoring average and his shooting percentage up, I'd say that's a successful season for Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think he's got a lot of potential. He showed everything he needed to show last year. He's just got to improve on it.
Right.
I think he doesn't need to focus on facilitation. That we have Lonzo Ball for that now.
Right,
He needs to be the scorer for the team.
I agree.
He needs to be the primary scorer, and I think he's gonna definitely take a step forward in that direction.
Agreed. So Julius Randle, contract year for Julius. He's been in the gym nonstop. People have been raving about his work ethic, and he's in great shape. He's in a contract year. He's a motivated guy. I expect to see good things from Julius. I really, really would like to see him shoot and develop a consistent jumper. Doesn't have to be, if he can get to that range of like a Blake Griffin, not a great shooter, but he can hit the outside shot. I call that successful.
Yeah.
And just to see him more of the second playmaker to Lonzo Ball. That's what I'd expect out of him.
Definitely. I think Julius Randle is going to show a lot this year. He's been bulking up, putting on a lot of muscle, so he's definitely going to be able to guard bigger guys. He was getting bullied a lot the past couple of years that he's been playing.
I don't see that happening anymore.
I don't think it's going to happen anymore.
Look at his Twitter, man. This dude is freaking jacked. I don't know if he's on that P90X or Insanity or whatever the hell he's on, but
he's gotten big.
He's a big dude. Brook Lopez finally wrapping it up at center. We traded in the trade for D'Angelo Russell. We got Brook Lopez. It's his final year in his contract. He can shoot. Seems like he can run the floor. I've got questions about his just mobility, but it seems like he's been able to shoot the 3, which is something that we need. So if he can be a rim protector for us and run the floor, be agile, and hit the open 3-pointer, I'd say that he's going to do great things for the Lakers.
I honestly don't think he's going to play that much this year. I think he'll start just because he's got the name and he's a solid player, but he's not going to play a lot, especially with this league. He needs to be able to move, and he's been in the league for 9 years now.
Yeah.
He's starting to get up there in age, and I don't think he's going to play, especially with how young this team is.
And I will say this, I mean, I think that his shooting is going to be what would keep him in the game.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's as agile as some of the other guys, so his shooting will keep him in the game. So I wanted to get into some key reserves, but unfortunately we're running out of time here, so I'm just going to name them off. Larry Nance Jr., Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Clarkson. Those are the three I really want to see good things out of.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to comment on those guys.
I think we're going to love watching Larry Nance. He's definitely a big athlete, and with Lonzo Ball, he's going to just see all the lobs.
Oh, yeah. I want to see another dunk like he dunked on Brook Lopez, just on Dwight Howard or somebody. So somebody who slighted the Lakers in the past. I just want to see him dunk on him.
Yeah.
So that does it for us. Thanks for all tuning in. Please like and share the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Comment below if you have any other comments or questions about what we talked about. Please like us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's at Home Court Design or Home Court Design 12 if you're looking us up on Instagram. And just want to give you guys another quick update on the Home Court Design and where we're at. So we went ahead and started doing our first sub-assembly design for the product that we're working on. So it's real exciting. We're diving into SolidWorks and just putting the first sub-assembly together. It's really exciting stuff. I can't wait to share more details with you guys. But definitely making progress on it. And hopefully, the goal is that by December we're going to be ordering parts to actually put the product together, the first prototype. So, but just want to give you guys an update on that. So, thank you guys for all tuning in. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
And we'll talk to you guys later. All right, signing out.